Slurpy derp, my G's. Hope you guys are doing well. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Today I want to do a little pro EQing tip. And I've got 3 basses here, and I'm going to show you how I would EQ each one. Now my kind of main ethos when it comes to EQing is less is more, and balance, you know. And obviously I like to use the channel EQ because it's really like CPU like friendly, and the Pro Q is great too. I don't really like to use so much linear phase EQ or things like that. I like to keep the latency down if possible. And yeah, my number one tip is just to EQ as little as you can, and also to EQ as smoothly as you can. So I hate seeing shapes when on some people's projects where they've really gone in like doing this kind of stuff, and you know, like going a bit mental up here like that, and then this kind of thing, and then yeah, you guys know what I'm sort of saying here. You know, these really crazy shapes. That tells me that the sound probably wasn't good enough to begin with, but also what you're doing is you're making loads of work for the EQ, because what some people don't realise is that every EQ adjustment that you make, the software is going to reanalyze the whole image and recreate the sound of the images, the sound of the image again each time. So like the more work you're giving it to do, is trying to recreate that image every time. And obviously, if you have a more easier task that you're giving the EQ, you know, let's say you're just like giving it a little bit of a boost here or something like that, like nice and smooth. That's obviously going to be an easier task for the EQ to recreate the image, because again, it's once you've done that, it's got to recreate the sound with those extra details, or if you're subtracting the same thing, it's going to recreate the whole image, either side of it, you know, the low end and the high end. It's all going to have to be recreated. So the more like easier task you can give the EQ, the less quality you'll lose, because you will always lose quality with EQing. Yeah. And again, this is like my, you know, what I've found out from my years of producing. Like, obviously we know like different people have different opinions in music production and all that, you know. I'm just sharing what has helped me again. So what has really helped me is doing less of the crazy stuff, more of the simple stuff. And when it comes to subtracting or adding, both is fine in my opinion. Obviously subtracting can be a little bit better. You know, it can cause a little bit less of a quality impact, you know, than boosting. But boosting is absolutely fine too, and I boost all the time. But for me, rather than whether it's subtractive or additive, the most important thing is that you're EQing as little as you can, because the sounds are already good, and also you're EQing as smoothly as you can, and with less settings if possible. So I've got 3 basses here, and I like to use span to look at like if I want a really detailed analysis of what it looks like, then I'll look on span, because the way that the analyzer is just higher, has more detail to it, you know, than the channel EQ. But I'll do the tweaks on the channel EQ afterwards. So this first one here, I see there's sort of a gap around 700 or 800. And again, what I'm going for is balance. I'm not going for like complete flatness, but a good, you know, sense of balance is what I aim for, you know. So if we choose about 700, that's an area I could boost. So to sort of fill out that gap a bit. You'll sort of see it here as well. So that's like a nice part that I could boost. And then what I also prefer to do, and yeah, this is like a bonus tip, I suppose. It's better to like EQ things multiple times, in my opinion, than to do it all on the same thing. Because again, if you're doing it on the same EQ, like lots of different settings, again, it's making the software have to work harder to recreate the new image. Whereas if you've done it once, then the software's, it's done its job. It's recreated the image. Okay, now you've got a new image again to play with, and then we can start again here and do the extra work. So the extra work here, I've sort of filled out that gap nicely, so it's a bit more balanced there. Now here, I might think I just want a bit more high end, so 3K and up. I might just give a little high shelf or something there. Okay, this is the kind of sound where it's more obvious that it's got holes in that I want to fill out. There'll be other sounds in a moment where things are sticking up too much and I want to use subtractive. Okay, so different sound requires different effects, obviously. But that sense of balance is a bit more there now. So I like that. That's that one tidied up nicely. And again, with the EQ, it's often great to do like low shelves and high shelves. You don't always have to like go full in with the low cut or the high cut, Low shelves and high shelves are great to get that little bit of extra balance if you've got either a bit too much bass or a bit too much high end or the other way around, So shelves are great too because they're really more subtle than low cutting everything, So here we've got another bass, and let's see what this one looks like. Here I've got a really obvious big gap here, all the way from like 600 to like 5K or something like that. So I could just do a nice big boost here. It's kind of missing that, that real biting treble point. Again, 1.5K tends to be like a really nice, central biting point for the treble. So that's often if something's too bright, it might be because it's too much there, or if it's not bright enough, it's because it's not enough there. So this one obviously didn't quite have enough bite. But again, all of it, you can just look and see. You can just look and see on the analyzer, where's the obvious imbalances. Again, the only two takeaways from this video, really, if you want to just put anything into practice, look for those imbalances, try to balance things out a little bit, and do it in the smoothest way as possible. That's basically the goal with EQing. You don't have to get fancy with it. Like once you get in super fancy with EQing, you already know that you've probably got a shite sound. All right. The last one then. This is like a more scratchy one. So this is like one of those more phase plant granular, crazier sounds, And I think I've you can see here there's some real spikes, Now again here, this is the kind of moment where in the past I would like have gone for that direct spike down method, like 1.8K wherever it is. Find that spike and I would have done this, I can already hear the whole sound has been degraded so much by doing that. I've lost so much of the quality of the sound, and so this is something that I used to do that I just never ever do anymore. Okay, if you really have something sticking out so much, it's obviously the worst sound, and you shouldn't really use it. But what I would do is I would still subtract those frequencies, but in a much more subtle way like that, That's like a perfectly decently smooth enough curve that's not going to overwork the software of the EQ, yeah? Because remember, what you do directly, how you draw it in directly, just because you're drawing it in like that and it's taking those frequencies down, it's not magically going to become how you want it to be, because you're stressing the EQ, You've got to give it a chance to actually recreate the sonic image. And if you're going to go mental with it, it's not going to be able to do that without losing a considerable amount of quality. It will get the image that you want, but you would have lost a lot of volume and quality. So subtle always, even on those kind of things. So I've sort of remedied the problem a bit there. Excuse me, a bit of a cough. And then if I look again, obviously it's still there, but it's not quite as bad as it was before. I've got another sort of spike around there, 7.1k or something, so I could do another similar kind of thing here. Okay, and then I've solved it a little bit. You know, it's still a bit spiky, but if I take them off, I've at least brought those down so that they're more in like a balanced like range. But I haven't like disrupted them so much that I've affected the quality of the whole sound. And those textural sounds, you know, they do have that spiky part to their character. You know, so if I wanted to like completely take it out, it will be at quite a big cost of degrading the rest of all of the other frequencies. So again, it's that sort of sound where, you know, if I didn't like that spiky edge to it, I should use something else. But I can go ahead and tame it to an extent, but only to an extent always, without losing the quality of everything. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, so just to wrap up. You know, my opinion, zero latency EQs, absolutely fine. Don't have to go fancy with these high CPU ones. Yeah, subtle, always better. High shelves and low shelves, great thing to do if you don't want to completely low cut and high cut, because again, low cutting, although we have to do it on many sounds to get rid of the mud, which is fine, but in general, you know, low cutting is going to create a more dramatic workload for the EQ to recreate the sonic image again. So the less workload that you give your EQ, that's the number one key takeaway that I'm trying to get across here. The less workload you give your EQ, the more of the quality of the image it will retain. So always try to go as smoothly as possible, and it's obviously always a balancing act, you know, because you might really need to change the frequencies of a sound loads because they're just horrible, and then you're going to degrade the image by EQing the hell out of it. So try to find that balance where you're picking the right sounds that don't need to be EQ'd that heavily. And if you need to do a bit of EQ adjustment, this is absolutely fine. Just do it in the most smoothest way that you can. And don't worry so much about whether you're having to boost or subtract. Often it's better to actually boost the parts that are missing. The gaps that are missing will help you achieve the balance in a better way than to take down the parts that are too high. Okay, so if there's obvious holes in the sound, that's better. It's better to fill those in first and worry about those real spiky things. You try to just bring them down in a more subtle way if you can. So hopefully that helps you guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, as I said, we're almost at 5k, which is very, very exciting. I never thought I'd get this far, so thank you all very much for that. And yeah, we got lots of cool stuff happening on the label. I don't know if you guys saw the new track from Hybert Phillips called Feel. That one went down really, really well. I love that track. Check it out on our SoundCloud if you want. And we've got loads more releases coming out in the following weeks. I think the next one's dropping from me in the middle of February. And if all goes to plan, I'll be travelling tomorrow as well. My second flight hopefully won't be cancelled. And then, yes, we shall continue in a new location moving forward. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out, much love. Don't do anything I wouldn't. Ciao for now.